Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Greg from America's local band, Cheekface, and we're here to provide you with a commentary on our fourth album, which is called It's Sorted, and it's out now, wherever you may be listening to music. And I'm Greg, and I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
I'm Mandy. Hi.
I'm Echo.
And I'm Greg, too.
Greg produced the record. Mandy and Echo are in the band, for those who are playing along at home. Well, what we're going to do is just play back the record. We're going to talk over the top of it and just kind of tell you, I don't know, whatever thoughts we had about making this thing. So, Greg, you want to push the play button?
Yeah, I'm going to push play on the tape machine here.
So, we made the album here at New Monkey Studio, which is in Van Nuys in LA, and it was Elliott Smith's personal studio. And this was the first song we recorded for the album, which was early 23, early 23, I think, is when we were recording this one. And I think this one was one where, once we wrote this song, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure, the album is starting to come together. That's going to be the next one.
Was this the first album we wrote? I mean, first, song we
No, this is the fourth album we wrote. This was, I don't think this is it's not the oldest song on the album. I don't think it's the first one we wrote for the album.
Right.
But it was the first one where we were like, let's go record that right away so we can put it out.
Yes.
Okay, so I heard this back, for the first time in a minute. What did we do for the...
That is it's a Rhodes sound, but it's a synthesizer.
Okay.
And it's just being pitched down by one step. So it's just I don't know, it's I think it's a G, and it's just using the pitch wheel to pitch it down by a step.
Oh yeah. I love how hard the chorus hits here. The guitar hits and all that.
Yeah, that was something when we were pre-producing the record where you were like, oh, move this kick drum and this chorus will hit a lot harder. And you're right.
I love that ride part. And that ride bell.
Yeah. I think when I first heard it, it was supposed to sound like a ride bell sample from a soul record. But now it kind of sounds like someone typing on a old manual typewriter to me. And then a lot of people have mentioned that bridge to me and been either it sounds like I just want to fly. There's that camp of people. And then there's a camp of people that think it's I want to be anarchy. So, well, I'd say at our top dollar best, we are the median point between those two songs.
I was at the Sugar Ray camp.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the Sugar Ray camp. But yeah.
So this was it started as a song that I was I think I wrote it in the pandemic. I did half of a verse and half of the chorus on just a... Oh.
Duh.
We broke the album. We and that was all it was. And then I think I played it for Mandy one day, while we were working on stuff for this album, and Mandy was like, this is cool, but it sounds like half of an idea. And then we wrote the rest of it. And it had a bunch of different lyrics. It was it was a very pandemic idea at first, because I was watching my neighbors out the window and thinking about how weird they were. And then I was like, no, that's not what's weird. What's weird is looking out the window at your neighbors. What's weird is not just going about your daily life. So I think we stumbled on that.
Yeah, and then I brought in the fact that I was on Nextdoor. Everyone's just posting their Ring camera footage of their neighbors and being all sus. I was like, that's where it's at.
Yeah, I remember hearing this one in the pre-production in the practice room, and there's been a few Cheekface songs where I get that feeling. I'm just like, oh, this one's gonna be a banger. Right out the gate, I was like, oh yeah, this one's gonna be a banger right out the way.
I think with this guitar riff that happens in the verse, I was thinking of like Gone Shootin' by AC/DC, which has like a plucked riff that like he really bounces the strings off the fretboard, like bam 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 bam.
Right, funk it out.
Yeah, you know, working on these records, like, one thing I always tell people that it's yeah, I get the producer credit, but in like when you work with a band like Cheekface, like my job is actually just not to mess it up.
Go on.
Seriously. Like, it's a different role than what I think people think of as a producer, where they're the one molding it. In this context, it's like I'm just trying to capture the moment of them doing their thing, and they've nailed it on this record.
This is like, well, this is the fourth one we've done with you. We've done them all with you, save for like a song here and there. And so like, I feel like part of me, while we're writing them, I'm like, we're going to bring this to Greg and he's going to not mess it up.
It's a fine line, you know. I just gotta not let the intrusive thoughts win. But sometimes I gotta say stuff, you know. But yeah, this one was just like, it was perfect right out the gate.
It's also, I think, one of our poppiest songs. Not that most of our songs are poppy, but this is power poppy.
Yeah. Well, it's just easy. It's very easy, accessible, earwormy.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I don't know, it wasn't one where it like screamed out of the speakers at me that it was like a banger, but that's because my radar for what people like is messed up. Okay, so this one started, I think, right at the top of 23. I was making these little loops. I was listening to My Life in the Bush of Ghosts by David Byrne and Brian Eno, which is on their like little loop collages that they made to study for Remain in Light by Talking Heads. And so I was rolling off some little loops that like were just like Talking Heads type beats. And so that started with this like bow, 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 but it had like a million layers of like other shit on it. And then I played it for Mandy and she was like, yeah, this is cool, let's work on it. And then as we started to write the song, all the layers fell away and it was just guitar, bass, and drums.
And the opening line, I love mess, is one of my favorites. It reminds me, first off, there were the little like books that were like Little Miss Messy, and I was like, yes, I love mess. But I was just like, yes, that lyric, let's just go with it. Yeah.
Big Casio keyboard for the intro, drum beat,
Yes.
and then for the verse 2, Froggy Sound from Thriller.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like the Casio tone brown keyboard that's like lives in the studio here. It's like a collector's item, I think.
Yeah, one thing I remember in making this one is the guitar tone. I didn't say it at the time, but I'm remembering. Is it kind of reminded me of like NERD guitar. Which I was like, yeah, we'll lean into that.
That's funny. I can't remember which guitar this is. Do you? It's either my green Telecaster or the studio's Butterscotch Telecaster.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's one of the Tellys. I think Butterscotch, a little spanky.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that guitar on this album.
And this is definitely a walking song, and I'm telling you to walk. So I love any song that's like a good power pace.
Oh yeah, what about the left-right discourse?
Yeah. Yeah, we did go back and forth on whether it should be left, right, or left, right, or... And because left, right just felt too military, and left, right was just...
Oh, what about this like riser thing at the end?
Yeah, this is just like the last beat of the song being pitched up more and more to go into this one.
Hey man, is today your real birthday?
I have 2 words. Echo chat. Coming up.
That's right.
Right here.
Hey man,
What was the direction? It was like, actually like I was trying to pick up someone.
You're a pickup bro.
This song idea started with Mandy came into the practice space and was like, you know what song really smacks is Grazing in the Grass, that old R&B song. We listened to that. It doesn't have that much of it in it, although it's the same tempo. But then it has that like, gah, 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 which is like, that's like the Grazing in the Grass rhythm. Like the whole song has that.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Connor Wayne on these horns.
Yes, Connor McElwain came in and played trumpet.
Yeah, and we unfortunately made him play it all the way through 4 times. You know the same part. slight variance, but hey.
Yeah. Both harmonies and the horns are double tracked, and
No samples here.
yeah. No, because Greg graciously lets us play as we play rather than gritting the drums after and snapping everything to the grid, which means that you can't copy paste stuff like you do when you snap something to the grid. So if you have a trumpet part that repeats 4 times and it's quadruple tracked, then you just end up recording it a lot of times.
Including all the backup vocals.
And the main vocals.
And the shaker.
Yes, the shaker eggs and all that.
I love how hard these guitars go on this part. What do we use for that?
I think that's the butterscotch telly. I think this whole song's the butterscotch telly. And then the amp combo on this and most of the record is an AC30 combo and a Princeton reverb, mixed together in different ratios. So the Princeton has that high-end grind, and the AC30 has the chunk and chime.
Well, writing the album, I felt like I wanted to do a little bit more dancey songs, and so this is one of them. There's a couple on this album, but yeah, coming in with soul groove, disco. Yeah, anything to make you shake.
Samba whistle.
Yes, tritone.
Yeah, this is a special whistle we had to buy especially for this part of the song. We were like, what is that Gloria Estefan whistle that she uses in all of her songs? We Googled it and it was tritone samba whistle, so we bought one online. This whole part, we had this huge empty section on the song we didn't know what to do with. It's 64 or 72 bars. And then we were driving home and I was playing Do It at the Disco by Gary's Gang, which is it's a perfect disco song, but it wasn't a big hit. And it has this really long break in it and that Moog synth. And I was like, oh, we could do that. And then once you have that thing in it, then everything sort of starts to fall around it.
There's a part that comes up where Greg does these dive bombs. And I just totally imagine Thriller looking it's coming up.
With Connor's trumpet ad lib here.
There are also tons of drums that we tracked.
Yeah.
This part.
And I gotta say too, just the regular drums, I really love how they came out on this one. You get I feel when people track drums in this room, you get a nice smack off the floor.
Yeah.
This one you can really hear that smack.
Yeah.
Yeah, very proud of this one. Probably the hardest song for me personally on it. But I think it came out great.
Yeah, this was definitely one where there were several practices where we went in and we're let's try it. And Echo's I don't have it yet. And we were let's try it anyway. We played it halfway through and we were all right, let's try it again tomorrow. Yeah, that's one interesting thing about this band. It's unlike any other that I've ever been in. It's none of the songs live live before we record them, just because of the rhythm that we've done the band in, which is we had the first record done when we played the first show, and so we always have kind of, been on this pace where we're writing while we play the last record live. So, there's not oh, we own this groove. It's oh shit, we better figure out how to play it by the time we get there.
Yeah, because Greg and I will write the song and then we'll never play it as a band until right when we get to record it. And so it's okay, let's practice this.
Okay, so Life in a Bag. This was another one I started right at the top of 2023. I was just doing a song spree of let's get down a bunch of ideas. And one idea I had was Funny Friends by Unknown Mortal Orchestra. I was that is one of the best indie rock songs. It's an underrated indie rock song. It's an underrated UMO song. It's just an underrated masterpiece. And it starts with that drum break, and then it starts with the instrumental chorus after the drum break. And one of the Cheekface rules is songs can't have 2 intros. So that was broken in homage to Unknown Mortal Orchestra. But yeah, I had this part, this pre-chorus was written, and then like the guitar parts and the drum part, and then we wrote the rest of it together.
Is the video out when they see this?
Yes, the video is out. There is a video for this.
I'm listening back to this from Plumber POV.
Greg plays the plumber in the video.
Plumber. Yeah, lots of our friends showed up for that video shoot. It's fun.
Yeah, a lot of friends, a lot of cheek freaks, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous.
A lot of dancing.
Line dancing. This is definitely one of those songs where like I feel really raw singing it. I felt that while we were recording it, and then like as of this recording, we played it live once, and it's one of those songs where I just feel really naked saying it. You know, I don't know. I think like we'll find out only after this is recorded whether people related to it or thought it was cool or not. But you know, it's one of those ones where you're like, I'm like going somewhere weirdly deep with this, and I'm not sure how comfortable I feel sharing it. But every song I felt like that, like those have been some of people's favorites. So, you know, like I said, my radar for what people are gonna like doesn't really work.
Yeah, in my notes for this one, there's like I wrote down like fun melancholy. Yeah, one thing I think that's really cool for both Greg and Mandy when they record their vocals, like you probably do no more than 3 to 4 takes, which in today's terms is like not that many. It's like almost doing 1 take. And I think it's cool that we pull it off.
I think also like with maybe the subject matter of the song, but also like the way the song is written musically, I think is vulnerable for us as Cheekface. It has a lot more space than we normally do.
Yeah.
So yeah, even like when we played it for the first time in San Francisco, it felt vulnerable to play. It just was not our norm.
Also, like the verses, like you mentioned though, like just doing a handful of takes, but this one is the rare one where like we were listening back and I was like, no, that's not the verses, and like we went back and recut the verses again, and we did the same thing with the guitar solo, because you were like, this tone's not working, like let's try some other amps, let's try some other guitars. So
yeah, this record, I think it's the first time I don't know if it was we had the time or we just made the commitment to like, we actually did like some tone shootouts, which was pretty cool. Like it was fun to get that on this project, but you know, it wasn't crazy though. I mean, definitely it was a Steely Dan one day, one week for drum tones. It was like, all right, here's the part, this guitar, nope, this guitar, nope, this guitar.
Yeah, there were definitely a few where we tried 4 or 5 guitars, like to try to find what was working.
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah, this is the rare one where like I did almost all the writing on it, and it was another like quick song experiment, and the guy from Rocket from the Crypt had just died when we were working on the record, Rick Froberg, and this song was kind of already like a like Rick type beat, a Hot Snakes type beat, and so then when we always have a bunch of like left turn songs that we write that end up on every record, and this was one of them, and it just felt like, you know, a little nod to him as a really important figure in like my musical life, and the sound of indie rock guitar and what you can do with it. And also we need 1 blast beat per album.
Yeah, and I got to yell, which is very therapeutic.
Shout out to Echo's Metronome.
Yeah, and Dr. Beat, let's go.
We had fun. I think we tried something totally different for it. No, that was a different song. That was the B-side.
Yeah, this one was the last one to stumble over the finish line. Like, we had started pre-production on the album, like playing the songs for Greg and, you know, making adjustments, and then we finished this one like a few sessions into doing that. I don't know, this one, like, it hits on like a lot of growing up. I grew up in like these punk and metal and alternative culture sort of scenes, like when I was in high school, and trying to figure out, they were so exclusive and I felt excluded by them while I was trying to fit into them, and their message was like, we're inclusive, but like they're actually only inclusive of like a certain type of person. And it's like, am I that person? Am I the excluder? Am I the person who says inclusion but like the inclusion is the act on its own? I don't know. It's kind of like where some of this lyric came from.
I like that. I didn't know that.
And then me and Mandy, both Huey Lewis fans, and Huey Lewis was mentioned a lot in the writing and production of this song. Like that guitar part is like heart of rock and roll type of thing. And then the chorus is like heart and soul.
Yeah, this bass line is
Yeah.
inspired.
Straight up.
We are social dividends. We do not self-indulge in this kind.
There was a horn synthesizer part that did not make the final version of the song.
The drums sound amazing on this song.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there was a lot of hand percussion and aux percussion that we recorded that we thought was definitely a part of the song, and then when we sent it off to Alex Newport to mix it, Alex was like, I took out all that percussion, let me know what you think.
And I've done a couple songs.
Yeah, it did.
yes, some of my favorite bongos are not in this album.
But they sounded great muted.
I feel like we swing back and forth between like pub rock and new wave, and this one are kind of like on the far new wave end of the sound. I remember when we were writing it, we were mentioning Need You Tonight by INXS.
And going for that drum sound, which sounds great.
Yeah, this one though feels like the bass really shines for me. Classic Mandy bass line.
Truly.
They can make it.
I remember that this lyric started in my notes as just your something is your largest muscle, your other thing is your largest muscle, your other thing is your largest muscle. And then like when I blurted it out over this beat, it was like, oh no, it needs to be filled in with all these other thoughts in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this was one that I remember in the pre-production. They had already all like, or at least Greg, I'm not sure if y'all were into it, but like the demo was already produced out. And usually I don't like to listen to the demos before I go into the pre-production session, just because I want to hear it fresh and hopefully contribute different ideas. But in the pre-production, it like made no sense to me because I couldn't hear any of the auxiliary parts. So I was like, all right. But then once I heard all the layers on top, I was like, oh damn, this is great. I love how this one came out.
Yeah. I also, for the production on the percussion, I feel like it was a really collaborative process. And it's one of my favorite parts of the record is when like I'm in the live room and then y'all are giving me feedback. And it was like, oh, let me pull out this different set of hi-hats. Greg was like, what about this mic? And then Greg was like, what about this rhythm? And then Mandy was like, what if we change it this way? And it was like, the way those come together are like, I don't know. It's very special on this one, I thought.
Yeah.
Boy, working fine.
I really worked at Target, by the way.
I love that. Might be my favorite part on the record, period. This whole little vocal section. So cool.
I love the hand claps. I knew where the claps come in.
And I'm trying to do disco vocals with the like really high girl.
Really airy, really.
Yeah. And then of course the claps have to be there. Make it full disco.
Oh, the dive harmonics. It's so cool.
Here.
Got the one-shot shaker going there.
Another Cheekface classic.
Yeah, that's in a lot of songs on this album and the other ones.
One of my favorite things about this part here is like, especially watching the evolution of Cheekface and being a part of it, is like how Cheekface has started experimenting more and more with the harmonies. Guys are good at it. It sounds really good.
It felt dangerous at first, especially because it was just the three of us. Like, since we've been playing live with AJ on the keys and singing backup vocals, it like opens up a dimension we could do live. So Don't Stop Believing. This one we were still writing as we got into the studio, and it was definitely a maybe song for the record. Like, it was like, is it a B-side? Does it not make the album? Like, you know, and it really stumbled into its final form, like, on the day that, like, I cut the vocals. Because it had, like, other subjects, it had other concepts, like, but I had started it as, like, I was just like fucking with Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. It's the first couple of verses where it really feels like a little hymn. And I was like, can we do something like that? But like, as these like lyrics fell into place and as we like, you know, tinkered with them here, like in this control room, trying to figure out what the lyrics would be, like we ended up with so many of the like central themes of the album about like, about belonging, about sense of self, discovering meaning through sense of self, and also work and capitalism, and how much am I like a fake versus how much am I authentic, and is the fake part of me the good part or the bad part, and is the real part of me the good part or the bad part? Like, you know, kind of like tangling with those concepts. Like, so many of the lyrics in this song like go straight to that. And then the last part of it was figuring out like an arrangement of it that would work. And like eventually we came back around to like Indian Summer by Beat Happening. And that was kind of like, oh yeah, and that's that kind of song. Triangle.
The secret cowbell buried in there too.
I love that one. I love that one as like just a departure for Cheekface. It feels like a brand new sound for you guys. Cool.
I love putting this one at track 10. This is like, if anything, I feel like it's like the archetypal Cheekface song because of like the way the guitar and the bass move.
Yeah.
Where it's like the guitar part makes no sense. Like, you know, people say like, if it's a great song, you can sing it with just the vocals and the guitar. And it's like, no, like that would make no sense if you listen to it. Like, it has to be the guitar and the bass together. The bass is most of the work for guitars doing the window dressing.
Yeah. Well, also the first beat of the song is just the kick by itself. It's like number one is just kick, and I love that. So throw the rules out.
And then these like high harmonies that you did, like that was a last minute idea.
Yeah.
It's like not in the demo, not rehearsed. And you're like, what if I sang this? And then we heard it. We were all sitting in here while you tried it, and we were like, oh, that's it. That's on the record. And you came back and listened to it, and you're like, oh, I don't know. We were like, no.
Oh, well, I'm somebody who thinks everything, so since it was so off the cuff, I was like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think it's like one of the most satisfying things that happens on the whole album.
This was another one in pre-production. I was like, oh, that's a banger. Easy. Also, when this one came out, I distinctly remember Chris Waller from Death Cab just writing such a really nice, lovely review. And it was just cool as hell.
Yeah.
Growing up loving those guys.
Yeah, it was like, this is the funnest sad song or something.
Yeah.
I love writing about pollution and waste. It's such a central part of our world.
Name of the album.
Sticking a flag in it right there. Album name mentioned.
The New Monkey Recycling is sorted.
Oh yeah, you get a little bit of the bongos. When we originally wrote it, we started with like an Apple bongo loop, just out of those like default Apple loops, so you just drag one into GarageBand and it's just
Seriously thought this was gonna be our bongo album.
I definitely thought this was gonna be our bongo song, and Alex was like, yeah, there's a lot of those bongos. I left a little in when he mixed the record.
Yeah, I think we even went to Guitar Center to get some bongos.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and we were shopping for rototoms too. Oh, and this lengthy like repeat outro was something that we came up with on the spot while we were recording the song.
There's the bongo moment.
And that's the album. And that's the album. It's sorted. Cheekface LP number 4. Anybody have anything they wish to say to wrap up our commentary on the album?
Go listen.
Yeah. Listen to it without us talking over it.
They listen again with us talking over it.
Play it off your DSP and this at the same time and see if you can get them to sync up, especially the part where the audio drops out like 2 songs in.
Yes.
Well, anyway, thanks for tuning in, y'all. We'll see you out there on the road, on the internet, in the Discord. Peace.